Willow is a 1988 American dark fantasy adventure film directed by Ron Howard and produced by Nigel Wooll. The film was executively produced by George Lucas and written by Bob Dolman from the story by Lucas. The film stars Warwick Davis, Val Kilmer, Joanne Whalley, Jean Marsh and Billy Barty. George Lucas conceived the idea for the film, originally titled Munchkins, in 1972. Similar to his intent with Star Wars, he created a number of well-known mythological situations for a young audience. During the production of Return to the Jedi in 1982, Lucas approached Warwick Davis, who was portraying Wicket, the Ewok, about playing Willow Offgood. 5 years passed before he was actually cast in the role. Lucas thought it would be great to use a little person in a lead role. A lot of my movies are about a little guy against the system, and this was just one more literal interpretation of that idea. Lucas explained that he had waited until the mid-1980s to make the film because visual effects technology was finally advanced enough to execute his vision. Meanwhile, the actor-turned-director Ron Howard was looking to do a fantasy film. He was at Industrial Light and Magic during the post-production phase of Cocoon, which he first approached Lucas to direct Willow. He had previously starred in Lucas's American Graffiti, and Lucas felt that he and Howard shared a symbolic relationship similar to the one he enjoyed with Steven Spielberg. Howard nominated Bob Dolman to write the screenplay based on Lucas's story. Dolman had worked with him in a 1983 television pilot called Little Shots, which had not resulted in a series, and Lucas admired Dolman's work on the sitcom WKRP in Cincinnati. Dolman joined Howard and Lucas at Skywalker Ranch for the series of lengthy story conferences and wrote 7 drafts of the script between the spring and fall of 1986. Pre-production began late in 1986, with various major film studios turning down the project as they believed fantasy genre was unsuccessful. This was largely due to films such as Kroll, Legend, Dragon Slayer, and Labyrinth, all failing at the box office. Lucas took it to Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer, which was headed by Alan Ladd Jr. Ladd and Lucas shared a relationship as far back as the mid-1970s, when Ladd, running 20th Century Fox at the time, greenlit Lucas's idea for Star Wars. However, in 1986, MGM was facing financial troubles, and major investment in the fantasy film was perceived as a risk. Ladd advanced half of the $35 million budget in return for theatrical and television rights, leaving Lucasfilm with a home video and paid television rights to offer in exchange for the other half. Lucas named the character of General Kal-El, Pat Roach, after film critic Pauline Kal-El. The fact that this was not lost on Kal-El in a printed review of the film. She referred to General Kal-El as Homage Amoy. Similarly, the two-headed dragon was called Ibisisk, after film critics Gene Siskel and Roger Ebert. The majority of the filming took place in Dennerwick Quarry in Wales, with some in Elstree Studios in Hertfordshire, as well as a small section in New Zealand. Industrial Light and Magic created the visual effects sequences, which led to a revolutionary breakthrough with digital morphing technology. The film was released in 1988 to mixed reviews from critics, some praising the special effects and character designs, while some criticized the direction and plot. It grossed $137.6 million worldwide, against a $35 million budget. But not the blockbuster some expected, it turned a profit based on international box office returns and a strong home video and television returns. Additionally, it received 2 Academy Award nominations. A television series that serves as a sequel to the film was released by Disney Plus on November 30th, 2022. The cast includes Warwick Davis as Willow Offgood, a Newland dwarf farmer and aspiring sorcerer. Davis was only 17 whilst shooting the film. And on the set he'd meet Samantha, whom he'd later marry, as she was playing one of the Newland villagers in the film. Val Kilmer as Mad Martigan, a boastful mercenary swordsman who helps Willow on his quest. Kilmer would ad-lib much of his dialogue in the film. Ironically, Val also met Joanne Whalley on the set, and the two would later marry in 1988 and have 2 children, a daughter Mercedes, born in 1991, and a son Jack, born in 1995. Shortly after Jack's birth, though, the two would separate, and Whalley filed for divorce on the 21st of July, 1995. Joanne Whalley plays Shorsha, Bavmorda's warrior daughter. And Jean Marsh as Bavmorda, the villainous queen of Nockmaar, a powerful black sorceress and the mother of Shorsha. Now, I remember absolutely loving this film as a child growing up, and it's one of those films that I constantly watch over and over again. I was just enthralled by the fantasy adventure of it all. Now, of course, watching it the other day, it does seem somewhat dated now, seeing it through an adult's eyes, as it were, especially when you compare it to some of the fantasy films and TV shows we have today. Yes, of course, the visual effects are dated and nowhere near as sophisticated as what we see in today's television shows and movies, but in the same breath, though, there is a lot of charm and charisma to this film. It's a nice, easy story, and Warwick Davis plays Willow so well with such affection and charm. I do, however, feel this film is really aimed at children, so like I said, I'm seeing it from a almost nostalgic standpoint when I say that I really enjoyed it. In the same breath though, like I said, watching it again, I can see now why it maybe hasn't dated as well, and that it really wasn't made for adults at the time. It still though is a nice, light, easy film to watch, and most enjoyable. Val Kilmer here, for me, though, steals the show as Mad Mardigan. He's just so good in this role. His charming, his wit, and of course his guile really shine through as this sort of swashbuckling good guy. Obviously, his chemistry here with Joanne Whalley's Shosha is off the screen because the two really did fall in love whilst filming the movie. All in all, this is a real 80s fantasy film, and if you have a nostalgic sort of feeling for these type of 80s classics, then this one you'll really enjoy. If, however, you are looking for something with mind-blowing visual effects and a hugely vast, deep story, then Willow will definitely fall short of the mark. This is a lovely, charming, easy fantasy film that will bring back nostalgia and really appeal to those who grew up with it and understood its meaning for them at the time. Willow gets an 8.5 out of 10.